All right, everybody. You know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. And bam! We're here. Welcome to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for those of you who are watching us on every conceivable platform. And also for those of you who are listening to the broadcast on WIGO AM 1570 at Leonard's Incredible Radio. And of course, now on their new website, WIGO1570.com. Well, anytime I talk sports, you know what we like to do. We want to bring in the co-host, the queen herself. Miss Tree Dolman is in the building, and welcome back.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So a big weekend in sports, lots of stuff going on. Let's show people a little bit what we're going to talk about tonight. Our topic tonight, folks, are the Braves start off their 2021 season 0-4. We're going to just brush a little bit, give you an update on Deshaun Watson's drama. It continues to grow. Masters back now in the springtime. The All-Star game for Major League Baseball moves to Colorado. Final four regular men and women. Hawks continue their good play. NFL draft defensive back analysis by our two-time Super Bowl champion, Mr. Tyrone Poole, and Falcons update with you-know-who, Mr. D. Orlando Ledbetter. So as you can see, Tree, we have a full house of things going on tonight.
We do.
Well, you know, we talk Braves baseball. We got to get right to it. The man himself covers the Braves, covers pretty much everything that has to do with sports and also pop culture. Our good friend pops in to join us really quickly with a Braves update. Brian Jones is in the building. What's up, Brian?
Not too much. How you guys doing?
Doing great.
How are you?
So tell Tree and I what's going on with these Bravos as they started off 0-4 now.
Yeah, they just played the Washington Nationals. The Nationals were playing their season opener as they were dealing with COVID-19 issues, but the Nationals were able to beat the Braves 6-5, walk-off win at the bottom of the ninth for the Nationals. And I know a lot of people are talking about the Braves' slow start, 0-4. There's a lot of questions going on about the offense. Can they get the bats going? You know, it looks bad on paper, but the reality of it is, if you look at what this team has done in the last four games, they could easily be 3-1 or 2-2 based on the way they played. In the series against the Phillies, they got off to a slow start in terms of their offense, but in the game today, they were able to hit 4 home runs. You got 2 home runs from Ronald Acuna, 1 from Freddie Freeman. So it looks like the offense has gotten going after a slow start in Philadelphia. The only problem was the bullpen that was good in the series against the Phillies struggled today. So it's just a matter of putting everything together. They have a doubleheader against the Nationals tomorrow. So if they're able to sweep, they should be able to win that series and move right along. You know, you don't want to get out of these slow starts. But if you remember in 2019, the Braves started 0-3, got swept against the Phillies. The Phillies just ran over them. The Braves ended up winning the division. So you can't win the division in April, but at the same time, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to struggle and fight throughout the entire year. So I think the Braves will get back on track sooner than later.
Tree, what do you think about this rough start by the Braves? I know you're more of a basketball fan, but what do you think? Are the fans panicking a little bit too early now?
I think so. It's kind of like what Brian said. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. At the same token, you do want to make sure that you're still keeping yourself in the runnings. And we all know that this has really been a tough year with COVID. And so things are really different. So I'm not too concerned. It would be different if they weren't playing well and they were having the 0-4 start, but I really do think that they will start winning some games. So I'm not concerned. And I think the fans just need to give the Braves a little more time.
Yes, I agree. I mean, who cares? I mean, to some degree, it really doesn't matter how you start. You know what we know, and Brian's discussed this last week. The Braves are. It's really pretty much World Series or bust. So I really don't care too much what they do now. It's really how they finish. You know, speaking of the Nationals, Brian, you remember what happened just a couple of years ago. Washington were apparently dead in the water. I think they were like 10 or 11 games under 500, and they soared in the second half and won their first World Series.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's baseball. There's going to be ebbs and flows in a 162-game season. If you look at other teams that have started off so far this season, the Baltimore Orioles were picked to be the worst team in baseball, and they're now leading the AL East with a 3-1 record. So it's just a matter of, can they keep it up? It looks like they can, because it's just a matter of talent. We've seen what this Braves team has done over the last 3 to 4 years. You know, there's that saying, when you come to looking at players, look at the back of their baseball card, and then you can get an analysis of how they are. We know what this team is. It's essentially the same team from last year. There's a couple pieces missing, but you still have your core guys. They know how to get out of these situations. They've been through situations like this before, whether it's a losing streak, whether it's dealing with injuries. Even though they're a young team, they're a very veteran ball club. So, again, you don't want to start off like this, but I want to see how this team does, how they play in May, June, July. That's where you're able to take control of the NL East, and we've seen the Braves do it many times before.
Right, yeah. So if you look at Acuna, I mean, he quickly answered the question. 2 home runs today, 3 RBIs. Looks like he's, going to be on track for, barring injuries, a 40-40 season, or I should say 40-40-100, which for those of you baseball non-aficionados, that means 40 home runs, 40 steals, and 100 RBIs in a season. And obviously, if he was to do that, that would put him in some rare company. So we look forward to that. And we look forward for Freddie Freeman to be Freddie Freeman. So, yeah, I think that the Braves, for them, the real issue is going to be what they do in the second half of this season.
Yeah, it's just a matter of staying healthy, too. I think, especially with the starting rotation, with Charlie Morton being 37 years old, you want to make sure he's going to be healthy. And they're going to deal with their share of injuries. So in the game tomorrow, in the second game, they're going to have a bullpen starting pitching group. So it's just essentially going to be just a bunch of bullpen players pitching for the Braves. And I think that's going to be a situation that they're going to watch out for until Mike Soroka gets back, which should be sometime this month, because he was able to pitch at the end in the spring training. So you just want to make sure he's 100% ready. So I think that's something that's going to be very interesting to watch, because they have some depth in that bullpen, in that pitching rotation. They have about 5 pitchers that are lefties, which is something that you rarely see in Major League Baseball when it comes to having that many left-handed pitchers. So as long as they stay healthy, which I think they should be able to do, I think the Braves will be in good shape in the summer.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, again, it's, we don't want to be repetitive, but it is pretty much World Series or bust. I don't want to hear all these guys talking about the Braves need this, the Braves need that. The way they're constructed right now with the current guys they have on the staff, if everybody plays at least 90% of their capabilities, this team should definitely go to the playoffs. So, well, speaking of the Braves, I want you guys to each kind of give me your thoughts on this kind of quickly. We had all thought that the Major League All-Star Game was going to be here in Atlanta, and that we're going to be able to celebrate the return of baseball to somewhat normalcy, and, of course, memorialize the greatest Brave ever and one of the greatest major leaguers ever, Hank Aaron. But now that's going to have to be done in Colorado as the game has now been moved from the Brave Stadium due to the passing of the voting bill. We'll go to you, Tree, first. Any thoughts about that situation?
Yeah, I'm proud of Major League Baseball for doing that. I think that's how you get things done. Actions speak louder than words. And so for them to move it, I was proud of them, and I am proud of them.
All right, Brian, how about you?
So for me, I'll speak on this on 2 points of view. As a Braves fan, I'm disappointed that the All-Star Game is not going to be played here because growing up a lifelong baseball fan, I used to watch the All-Star game when I was young, especially the Home Run Derby, the Celebrity Softball game, the Futures game, all that. And I was planning to go to the All-Star game. So it's just very disappointing for Braves fans and Braves officials that have been planning this ever since they were awarded the All-Star game in 2019. At the same time, you take a step back and you understand why Major League Baseball did this. Rob Manfred, the MLB commissioner, has been criticized for not taking a stand, not being a leader. And what he did was he listened to former players, civil rights groups, and they were against having the game here in Atlanta because of everything that's going on with the new voting laws. So he took a stand and decided to pull the game out of Georgia and move it to what will be Colorado. And I had to commend him for that because he's taken a lot of heat ever since he's taken that commissioner role and not being bold and making those tough decisions. So hopefully for Atlanta, things will change and they get the All-Star game. They'll get the All-Star game again because Atlanta is a great sports town in terms of hosting events when it comes to the Super Bowl, the College Football Playoff National Championship. They just hosted the NBA All-Star game. So they'll get the All-Star game back. So I had to commend Major League Baseball for the move they made.
Yeah. So as for me being kind of the old guy, I guess I got mixed feelings. I mean, obviously I can understand why it was done. There are aspects of the law that are particularly egregious, which I'm not going to detail here because it's not a show on politics. So certainly you had to take a stand. I guess the disappointment is really the timing of it all, being the fact that this was going to be a time to celebrate, like I said, again, the greatest Brave of all time, a man that sadly lost his life very recently, and a guy who was really a trailblazer in breaking barriers and all the stuff that he had to go through to take over Babe Ruth's record. So that's why I'm kind of saddened that it would not be here, so that Atlanta fans couldn't really celebrate the life of the great Hank Aaron. Again, they're going to do it in Colorado, but it just is not the same as having it here in Atlanta. I just wish there could have been some other way that baseball or even a boycott could have done to really penalize the people that make these laws. Because in essence, yeah, I understand that people are talking about boycotting certain aspects of Coca-Cola and other Atlanta-based companies. But at the end of the day, at some point, I just hope that we can find some way to either put the people out that make these laws or elect people that can change the laws. Because one thing about laws is they can be changed, as we see by the voting law itself. So, again, understand why they had to do it, but extremely disappointed that this was the particular time that it happened with Atlanta hosting the game. So that's it. But what you can do, I mean, it's life. You got to do it. It's just, like I said, again, it's just a shame that we have to continually go down this road and fight this path. And then the sheer stupidity, and normally I don't take and call any of our elected officials names, but the sheer stupidity of the governor coming out saying he's not going to throw the first pitch. It's like I heard someone say on another radio program, they said, okay, the governor is protesting against boycotting the game, and then he turns around and says, I'm going to boycott throwing the first pitch at the game. So, I mean, I'm just saying, I got to, for that, I have to put on my yellow shades so maybe I can see better to what our strange politicians are doing up under the Gold Dome. But anyway, like I say again, it's not a politics show, so we'll get off of that and leave that alone. But yeah, definitely, I'm excited about what the Braves are doing, excited about the opportunity of maybe the game coming back to Atlanta in a not too distant future. So we'll hang in there for that. Well, speaking of hang in there, guys, we got to take a quick break. But before we do, Brian is a man of the move. He's got a lot of articles and stuff that he's got going on, and he's let me let him tell you more about himself. As Brian Jones, the floor is yours.
As always, I appreciate you guys having me. Again, I'm the sports and entertainment writer for popculture.com. You can find my work at popculture.com and popculture.com/sports. Coming up, I was able to interview WWE superstars The Miz and Maurice. WrestleMania is coming up this Saturday and Sunday. So those stories will be published tomorrow. and Thursday. So be sure to check out Pop Culture, popculture.com/sports. You can follow me on Twitter. That is at Brian Jones_PC. And I have a podcast called Always Football Season. I'm going to have a new episode coming out in the next couple of days and a bonus episode coming out after that. You can find Always Football Season wherever you get your podcast, and also have the Facebook page for the podcast, facebook.com/Always Football Season. And also you can follow me on Instagram. That's Brian_L_Jones.
There's right there, Brian Jones. He's everywhere. The man himself. Well, Brian, listen, we appreciate you for joining us. And listen, we're going to take a quick little station break for those of you who are listening to us on WIGO 1570. Keep it locked right here for more of the sports show that's the best in Atlanta, the Real Talk Sports Show. We'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net. The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. All right, we're back here. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show and watching the Real Talk Sports Show. If you're listening, of course, on WIGO 1570, Atlanta's Incredible Radio, and, of course, online at WIGO1570.com. Here's the cool thing. You also now can listen to us on an app. It's called the TuneIn app. It's like TuneIn. It's a free app. Don't let them trick you. It's free. Once you have the app, download it. Go to WIGO AM 1570 in the search engine, and say 8 o'clock on Tuesday, voila, you hear us broadcasting right here and right now. Well, now we're going to shift to a little bit of basketball. The Final Four, men and women, handled themselves with great aplomb and great skill over the weekend, and very impressive for both teams. Arizona now, not Arizona, but the Stanford Cardinals, the champions again, and I believe for the first time, the Baylor Bears are the champions of the men's NCAA basketball. I knew I was going to do that. So what do you think? What would you take first, Tree, on the men's Final Four?
You know, the Final Four was just a lot of great basketball being played, and you can't complain about any of the teams because every team that won, they worked hard and they earned the victory. You know, sometimes you get people that say, oh, they won because this team was playing bad or this and that. And yeah, that may be true that shots weren't falling and different things of that nature, which was shocking for me to watch when it came to Baylor and Gonzaga. But Baylor, they came out from the jump and they were ready to play. And you could just tell that they had a different mentality than Gonzaga, and that's why they won. They were up the entire game, and they kept that lead.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. I don't know whether some of it was fatigue from that epic overtime game in the semifinals against UCLA, must-see TV, what they call instant classic, as both teams exchange shots with less than 5 seconds to go. Of course, the buzzer beater, the three-pointer on the run by Gonzaga to propel them into the championship game. But there's no doubt that Baylor played pretty much the whole tournament with a chip on their shoulder. A lot of people saying they really shouldn't have been a 1 seed. And they were determined, as you mentioned, to get Gonzaga out of there early. And they did what a prize fighter does. They hit it with some body blows early, and Gonzaga was never able to recover. And I think that's because they're kind of a methodical team, don't you think?
I do.
You know, you don't have that pace. And so, you know, once you get behind that, it just seemed like they were always a step slow.
It did. And Baylor kept up the defense. They came out, just blazing. And even after halftime, but you see a lot of teams they'll make some adjustments, but when you're ahead in halftime, and then sometimes they come out and the other team really dominates. But you'll see that Baylor, even after halftime, it was like it was 0-0 on the clock, which is the best thing to do. You can't have that mentality, oh, we're ahead. It's still 0-0. You have to win this half.
Well, it's funny you mentioned. So I heard one of our local guys here in Atlanta did a great job. I'll give him a shout out. 3-point conversion. They actually had credentials for the entire tournament, and they got a chance to talk with a coach from Gonzaga after the game. And he talked about the fact that they asked him, just you said, well, hey, did you make any adjustments? And he said, I did. He adjusted the zone, did some different things, but he said that for everything that he did, to their credit, Baylor had a counter. He said, as a matter of fact, they went to a different type of zone defense. He said they ran off 6 straight points. He said then we tried to do a matchup. He said they got 2 more quick buckets. He said so really, outside that little run they had at the beginning of the second half, they just really had no answer.
Yeah, which just goes to show the great coaching. It's all about the coaching, because what if they had not switched up those things that they knew that Gonzaga was preparing for in the half time meeting, so that they could make adjustments, and then Baylor made more adjustments. So it was just more confusion. And hats off to the Baylor coaching staff, because that was just great coaching. I mean, it was just great watching what they did and the way that they kept up the intensity, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt they did just an outstanding job again of making the proper adjustments and being able to counter pretty much everything that Gonzaga came up with. And again, with them being more of a methodical type of team, with them being a type of team that kind of, really just, kind of moves the ball, like I said, in pretty much a methodical way, they just did not seem to be able to kind of get over the hump to get done what they need to get done. So again, kudos to the folks over there at Baylor. They did it. They represented the Pac-12. It's not the Pac-12. They represented the Big 12. But speaking of the Pac-12, big shout out to them for their run, including which is weird to say this, especially a guy my age, the Cinderella UCLA Bruins. I mean, they were really talking the tournament.
They were, and I mean, what can I say? They knocked out my Michiganders. But again, you can't say anything about it. UCLA played better. Shots were not falling for Michigan. Michigan had plenty of chances to score and to win that game. They missed about 7 layups in the last 2 minutes, or, the shots just were not falling. So you can't say anything outside of congratulations to UCLA, because they played harder and they were the better team that day. UCLA played a phenomenal tournament. Phenomenal.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you hit it on the head. They did what they had to do. They played just a stellar brand of basketball. And I know I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but I think it was John Juzanga. I mean, he did what you do in the Final Four and in March Madness. Sometimes a team can have one player get hot and he can carry them away, because he really was the key. I think he averaged like 25 points a game those final 3 games, the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, the semifinals and the Sweet 16 games. So, I mean, to his credit, I mean, he did what he had to do, and UCLA wrote it out. And the other thing UCLA did, you talked about it earlier, the big takeaway I got from this tournament was what Ms. Dolman always likes to talk about in football: defense wins championships. Because all the teams that had the late runs into your Sweet 16, Elite Eight, and finally into the Final Four, it really was about defense.
It was, and it always is. And even when you look at the championship game, you saw that Gonzaga, even when they were down, they would go score. But the problem is that they couldn't make stops. And that's why defense is so important. You can have great scorers and you can make great shots, but if you can't make stops, then you can't come back from behind and win. It's just a matter of you score, they score, you score, they score. You have to be able to make great stops and play defense. Defense makes all of the difference in sports.
Yeah, no doubt. That is definitely the situation. These guys just did what they had to do, and they made it work. I mean, I gotta give them their props. I got nothing bad to say about them at all. Speaking of giving props, we gotta give some big props to women's basketball. I don't want to call it necessarily a coming out party, but there's no question that from all intents and purposes, the women's March Madness was probably the best ever.
It was really great basketball being played.
Yep, they did a phenomenal job. And it's funny because all the measurables, they said, now, of course, we had the skip from last year, but they said up from 2019, every measurable was up. The TV, all the TV viewing was up. One of the games, I think, had one of its highest ratings ever for a women's NCAA game. So it was really just, it was must-see TV. I mean, kudos to the women, and kudos to Arizona, who got some payback, I think, for knocking off UConn, who a lot of people felt maybe shouldn't have been there. So Arizona took care of them, got them out of there, and then played a great game against Stanford. Again, coming right down to the wire, and just really doing what exactly we expect to see during tournament time, really making it just, like I said, again, must-see TV. And so, again, big kudos and shout-outs to both of those teams, both to the Cardinals and to Arizona. And speaking of Arizona, there was some interesting news here. I'm going to try to see if I can get this picture up here so everybody can see it. An interesting headline I saw as I was trying to do some study on the women's Final Four and some of their statistics. I saw an interesting headline here. I'm going to pop this up here on the screen. I think I can get it here. Arizona head coach puts a new spin on getting her team pumped up. Evidently, during the halftime break, head coach Adila Barnes actually did some breast milk pumping during the halftime. And so she was talking about this story, and she said originally she does what any woman does. She covered herself. She said, but in the excitement when the team came in, the blanket fell off. So the whole team just kind of erupted in laughter and cheers. So I think that's a new spin on getting your team pumped up.
I had a feeling that that's what you were going to post. Yeah. So during halftime, she was pumping milk, because we know that women are Wonder Women, they're super women, and for her to be a new mom where she has to feed her baby and pump milk, and she's also coaching, so that's why she was a little late coming out after halftime, because she had to pump her breast milk.
See, that's why I just put on my shades, because I knew the Queen would love that headline, and rightfully so. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it was both comical, it was somewhat poignant, and just a statement to what, sometimes we don't like to admit as males, because obviously the whole idea of being a male is you're supposed to be the protector, the guardian, you need the strong guy. But the realities are is that women, as far as their sheer ability to not only multitask, but put up with a lot of physical stress, is really oftentimes far beyond men. Now, you can say, okay, well, guys are getting shot in war, which women do this too. But I mean, at the end of the day, think about, and I would get your feedback, the emotions that are going on with this woman, where she said, I got a basically a newborn that's being cared for by relatives and friends. I'm facing one of the great teams of the last decade here, and my team has an opportunity to win, I believe would have been their first NCAA championship. All that going on all at one time. And the physical demands of run up and down the court, trying to, encourage your team. Incredible.
Yeah, it is. But, women do it all the time, every day. That's why women are so great at multitasking and helping with the kids, and mainly, and a lot of households, they do most of the work with the kids, and also cooking dinner, working. I mean, there's just a long list of things that happen. So yeah, she made it happen. She did a great job. You would have never known, because she was, like you said, running up and down the sideline, coaching, engaged, and doing a great job with her team. You would have never known.
Again, so a big shout out to the Arizona head coach. Again, taking care of business there. You can see her there in the picture. That's the young newborn right there. Who knows what that child is going to develop and be as she grows older, but no doubt a great headline, a great story. And beyond that, like I said, just the stellar play. The head coach from South Carolina, Dawn Staley, who herself a legendary women's basketball player. I shouldn't say legendary women. She's a legendary basketball player, period. One of the greatest all time in history. And she talked about the fact that really it's almost like watching women's golf and women's tennis. Is there a lot of power involved? Sure it is. I think for the first time you had a season where more than 3 women dunked during the game. So we don't want to take away from that. But at the end of the day, it's because the game is just a tad slower. The fundamentals oftentimes are actually better. And it's a game that is really more along the rules of how the game's supposed to work. So if you're actually trying to teach somebody, a lot of times it's better to watch a woman. Same thing in golf. I mean, guys like
and volleyball.
Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, he's gripping and ripping. Tiger Woods gripping and ripping. But if you watch the women's game, you see women that routinely drive the ball in the high 200s, low 300s, but their swing is so graceful because technically that's how power is developed.
That is true. You'll see that, like you said, with a lot of women's sports where fundamentals you'll see where when you watch the women, it's the same with volleyball. When you watch women's volleyball, you see the fundamentals. When you watch men, a lot of men's sports, they just go off of their power.
Yeah. So, and again, I mean, you know, who doesn't like the dunk contest, guys doing the monster dunks? Who doesn't like any of that type of stuff? The big time blocks. I'm not, you know, but it's different if you're trying to kind of break it down and watch how that actually works, watching the teamwork work. And that's why I think a lot of people on the men's side enjoyed this Final Four because the teams that got the farthest were throwbacks. I mean, to Gonzaga at some point, to some degree, almost kind of reminded of the movie Hoosiers, you know, with guys that kind of just moving around and passing and, you know, nobody's really, you know, playing above the rim, but very efficiently, you know, getting the job done.
That is true. But it's always better when you play above the rim because that's what the fans love. It gets the whole stadium going. The arena blows up when you get one of those awesome dunks.
Yeah, it's no doubt about that. But yeah, like I said, good stuff. And again, many kudos to your sisters who donned the court for their championship. And really, like I said, just really brought a lot of people in to watch the women's game. As a matter of fact, if I'm read my information correctly, women's attendance for the women's games was up this year dramatically. And they said the women's game between, I think it was UConn and I'm drawing a blank. But one of the UConn games was one of the most watched women's games again in history and ranked in one of the top games, period, during the March Madness television. So like I said, I mean, a lot more people now really kind of onto the game. And now I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think this could be a turning point with the attendance and the popularity of the WNBA, especially with some of the other things going on, you know, off the court as well?
You know, that's the thing, because part of, and this is just my personal opinion, I don't know if this is actually a fact or not, but I do think that part of the reason that the attendance was up for the women's NCAA tournament was because of the spotlight that was brought against the NCAA with how unfair they were treating the women and the men. So I do think that more people watch the women because of that. As in regards to the WNBA, yes, I think that it will help a little, but I think that some of what needs to happen to bring in attendance to a lot of the WNBA games is that they need to increase their marketing, and at the actual games, they need to make it more exciting for people and fans who come, especially here at the Atlanta team, which they have new management. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do. But I will never forget when I was in Phoenix and I went to one of the Phoenix Mercury games. And oh my goodness, I was just so excited. They had the kids come out and they got to come down on the floor and they played the song, Come On Ride That Train. And they made a big train going around the floor. And it was just a family fun event. I was so excited. I was like, man, I can't wait to come back to another game here, but I don't live in Phoenix. So I was just there for a volleyball tournament. So it was just like, man, what if they could do this here in Atlanta? So I think a big part of it is just bringing more excitement in and getting the fans and making it a family fun, friendly game where you really want to, because it's not an issue of the women not playing hard. Every single game, the women are going 110%. So there's never a dull moment with the basketball that's being played. I think it's the things outside of basketball that will help bring up the attendance.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that they have to find, I mean, that's one of the things that the Hawks did, even as their team was trying to rebuild. They were winning awards with the NBA of having the best in-game experience. And certainly with them building the first basically on-court bar and restaurant, the interaction with a lot of entertainment, individuals coming to the games and getting spotlight profiles, having concerts. Yeah, there's no question that kind of in-game, even like I said, when the Hawks were basically playing for a lottery pick, the games were well attended. Why? Because like I said, they're very, very exciting to watch and be a part of. All right, guys. Well, it's very, very exciting to be a part of you and this show. You have to keep it locked right here because we got to pay a couple of bills at the station. So don't go nowhere. You listen to the Real Talk Sports Show here on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570, and on every social media platform we can think of. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
That's right, my man JB Smooth is one of the funniest men around. That guy, very, very funny guy. We appreciate him for stopping by and doing what we call a drop for the Real Talk Sports Show. JB Smooth in the house. Well, we have another guy that he's not JB Smooth, but he's very, very smooth. He is a not one but two-time Super Bowl champion. He is a HBCU grad, a proud one, and he is the guy that is our football expert. The one and only Mr. Tyrone Poole is back in the building. What's going on, kind sir?
How we doing? How we doing, Tree? Greetings. Ladies first, as always. And how you doing, Minister? How you doing?
Yeah, I always know I come in second. You got to make sure to greet the queen first, as you should, sir. Wait, man. Listen, it's good to, first of all, to have you back. Good to see you. Before we get into some NFL talk and get kind of your feedback on, some of these guys looking at the draft, we're going to look a little bit about the defensive backs this week. Give us kind of some updates about what you're seeing in the realm of the HBCUs as far as football is concerned in the spring season, and also kind of what's going on at Clark Atlanta as well.
Well, everybody, spring football is giving a lot of the HBCUs an opportunity to play. Of course, there's still some teams that have opted out, which I am still a fan of that. I just believe football is such a rugged sport that you have to give a body time to recover, not weeks, but you got to give it months to recover. But we've seen a lot of good football unexpectedly. When I say unexpectedly, spring is normally the time when teams are trying to fulfill what their desires are for the fall season. But to see some of the play, just looking at videos, going to different HBCUs websites and just seeing them stream their games, you're able to see quality play on the field. So at that point, I'm very happy because these athletes have gone a whole year without playing, and to see them out there on the field, I know they're excited. I was excited for them. As far as Clark, we're nearing the end of our spring. We're not having spring football games, but we will have a spring game. So, the kids are excited. The coaching staff is excited. They had a losing season last year. They did not win one game, but not last year, but 2019. But the expectation is so high that the bar has been set, and I can't wait until we kick off this fall.
Yeah, man, I think it's going to be great just to kind of have everybody back. I think you're right. I understand that there was a haste to kind of squeeze the spring season in. And it's funny because when I first heard about that, my mind was thinking, okay, well, they're clearly not going to have both, because my thought was the same thing as you, that, hey, you got guys that are playing a sport that's very physical, very demanding on the body. and then you're asking them to basically cut their recovery time by 2/3. Now, granted, I understand you say, well, hey, we would have played spring scrimmage games and we would have had practice anyway. But I'm sure, Tyrone, you can explain to people practice and game full speed contact are two different things.
Well, actually, you want to practice like you're going to play. And there are some coaches that's their formula. If you think about the pros and a lot of these college coaches, they go to professional football camps to try to get ideas. High school goes to college and college goes to the pros to get their information. But one of the coaches that I've always admired and would be one of the coaches that if I could bring that coach back to coach my team, if I'm a GM, at least the offense, it would be Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's dad. And that was their philosophy. Even during the Bill Walsh, God rest his spirit, those that remember the Bill Walsh West Coast offense, 49ers, that's how they practiced. It was an up tempo. And when they got into the game was just like practice to them. Now the points actually stay on the board. The score between practice and the game. You prepare for the game and practice, and those that prepare well, like they say, it's perfect practice that makes perfect. So if you can practice the right way, then you increase your opportunities to winning. That's just the way I've always thought about the game.
Well, like I said, man, sounds like, again, there's going to have to be some compromises involved, I'm sure. But, again, I think everybody's excited to see any type of football. Again, big kudos and shout-outs to those who are playing. We want to give a big shout-out to Kennesaw State. Once again, man, doing big things in the Big South Conference, both offensively and defensively. They are a running machine, racked up over 300 yards on the ground. So big shout-out to Coach Brian Bohannon and the crew up there at Kennesaw State. All right, we're going to shift gears, guys, and get into a little NFL, which I know Ms. Dolman is excited because, look, we're going to talk about defense. Look at that smiling face right there. That's worth $1 million right there. All right, here's what we're going to talk about, guys. We're going to have who better than the man himself, is Tyrone Poole, who played the position. We're looking at some of these guys here, and you can see it for those of you watching on the screen. I'll read the name. The number one kind of guy that everybody's looking at, Patrick Surtain, the second from out of Alabama, J.C. Horn, South Carolina, Greg Newsome the second from Northwestern, Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech, Asante Samuel Jr. from Florida State, Javon Holland from Oregon, Aaron Robinson out of UCF, and Tyrone Campbell from Raptor Road from our Georgia Bulldogs. First of all, Tyrone, what do you think about those list of top DBs that might be available in the draft in 2021?
Well, I'm going to start like this right here. Coming from an HBCU, I got to start with the HBCU first. I call our new league, not new league, but the new name for the HBCU. Of course, you got the SWAC, you got the CIAA, the SIAC, and the MEAC. Well, they got the SEC and the Big Ten, all those big schools. Well, they're the Power 5. We're the Power 4. So I got to start with the Power 4 first. And the HBCU, got to give them love. And there's a kid out of North Carolina A&T, Mac McClain. He's 6 foot, 175, may not weigh what NFL scouts would want him to weigh, but the kid has unbelievable skills that, from what I've heard, and the guy can cover. As they say, he can turn the light off and be in bed before it gets dark. So, there's some secret, again, jewels in these small HBCU schools. In North Carolina A&T, the coaching staff has done a great job up there. But McCain, he shows very good promise. So look out for him. The guy got fluidity in his hips, shoulders, that twitch that you need to play corner. Plus he has that burst, which every corner has to have the ability to come out to break. So, got to give him love up there in North Carolina A&T. And the only thing against him, again, his weight, 6 foot, 175. He may need to pack on some more pounds to be able to take on some of those receivers. But today's game is passing. It's all about quickness. So he should do a pretty good job on that next level.
I like that, Tree. What do you think about bringing these guys in and showing some love to the HBCUs?
Hey, that's what it's all about. I love it.
Yeah.
Tyrone, so again, we're gonna pop these names up here again for you guys. Tree, do you know something about these names here? You see all these seconds and junior. You think this DNA has any part of this whole thing?
I do. I do. We all know that DNA a lot of times play a part, and so that's why a lot of coaches get excited when players that are great and they have children. It's like, oh, I know people were telling me when I was in college, oh, when you have a child, I'm coming to the delivery room and signing, giving them a scholarship. So yes, I definitely think that DNA plays a part.
It definitely does. Definitely.
Wow. So there it is. She's like, okay, she had them offers like, okay, man, we can, if the factory's open, we're willing to get the product right there. Well, there's some truth to that because, Raptor Road Tree, Tisha DeShields, that's how she was. I mean, she's got 2 of her 4 kids are playing professional sports right now. So
Yes.
there's no doubt that it's, her husband played for the Braves, but there's no doubt that there's something to that. Tyrone, what do you think? Looking at these names, you got Patrick Surtain, you got Asante Samuel. Both of those guys acquitted themselves very well in the NFL. But I'm looking at those guys because we talked about NCAT, which, by the way, for those of you who are new to HBCUs, they were the 3-time Black college football champion. I'm just saying. All right. So talk to us a little bit about those guys that you see at the defensive back position, and what do you think the possibilities that one of them might land with our Falcons?
Well, again, Patrick Surtain, like we just mentioned, the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. So anytime, you have a kid who grows up inside a family, that's what they have that the genealogy. They have that spirit of football in them. And Patrick Surtain, the second, actually, his dad was playing with the Dolphins while I was in the NFL as well. So, Patrick came out of high school already kind of smart. It's kind of like, it reminds me of Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning grew up around Archie Manning. So he grew up in the factory of football. So I think Patrick Surtain is going to be a good fit for any team. He already has the pedigree. He has the mentality, the mindset to understand the game. Of course, his dad taught him. But the thing about Patrick, again, that short area quickness. And I always tell people it's not about long speed. And really, I don't even care anything about how fast a corner can run the 40 based off of my knowledge of playing the game for a long time. Because I tell guys the reason why I don't care about the 40 is because most of the routes that are run are from the line of scrimmage to 20 yards out. And if they don't throw too many go routes, probably about 2 or 3 go routes a game, meaning 9 routes down the field. The rest of the routes are within 20 yards from the line of scrimmage. So Patrick Surtain, his quickness, that has been a question. He's been timed around 4.42. That's good speed. But the lack of quickness could be a problem when he go up against quicker wide receivers.
Okay, so Tree, about what he's talking about here with quickness. You look at these kind of things, you hear what he's talking about. Is that still a guy that you think you might want to see on the Falcons, or would you want to see maybe go in another direction if he's available?
Definitely. If he's quick, and Tyrone made a great point, you really want to look at what's best for that position. So again, with the 440, they definitely love when guys run it quick, but it really matters for your position. You do want a quick player because we all know that how quick you get off the line of scrimmage makes a big difference. But it's also, like he said, if most of the plays are going 20 yards down the field, are you able to get there when you need to? That's the most important part for that position. So it sounds like if he can do that, then yes.
So what we're looking at really, we should, based on what you're telling us, Tyrone, we should really kind of, I don't want to say ignore, but we shouldn't pay as much attention as the media hypes with all these 40 times and stand and jump. Is that what you're really telling me?
Yeah, definitely. I am telling everybody that because, again, even from a receiver standpoint, you can get a receiver that runs a 4.2 40, but you are not going to run a 4.2 out. You're not going to run a 4.2 big route. You're not going to run a 4.2 curl. Anybody who's running that type of speed is increasing a lot of tension on those joints. And that's a lot of pounding and a lot of torque. So that's why I always love to cover speed guys, because you can tell when they're going deep and you can tell when they are about to run a short route, because you can see the difference in their gait. And what I mean by gait, their running style. And that is what made Jerry Rice so great. And that what makes other receivers who are not fast great, because they have good enough speed to run by you, but they're not burners. And you can't really tell what type of route they're going to run, because everything looks the same, because they're not fast guys. And I know you mentioned about Asante Samuel Jr. Now, again, he comes from the bloodline as well. His dad played here in Atlanta, so he has the IQ to play football. But the knock on him is he's 5'10", 184 pounds. So, again, he has the IQ, and I think he's going to do very, very well. And, again, getting into the weight room is going to make you stronger, because that's the same thing they said about me. I wasn't tall enough, but I did 225 22 times. So I had some strength. I just didn't have the height, but I had the quickness and the lateral movement to play the position. So, again, these guys coming from the bloodline of their fathers who played in the game should do very well in the NFL for whoever drafts them and put them in the best position to excel.
Hold up. I got to put my yellow shades on again. Hold on a second, because I heard a big number. You said, how many times did you get that 225 up?
22.
Oh, 22. I thought 20. 20 was a lot, but wow, 22.
22, yeah.
As a DB.
Yep. On my pro day, I ran the 40. It was a 4.35 on grass. 4.35 on grass. Everybody else running their 40s on turf. I ran mine on grass. So if I had run on turf, man, that might have been a very low 4.2.
Wow. See, and that's why that young man was a #1 draft pick. See, you can't, they're not going to pick you in the first round, all right, unless you're doing something big, especially coming from HBCU, man. So big props and kudos to you. Well, look, guys, we're going to take one more final break. For those who are on WIGO 1570, you're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show, broadcast to you on Atlanta's Incredible Radio, WIGO 1570, and on WIGO1570.com. All right, keep it locked right here. We'll be back in just a momento. Don't go anywhere, please. Thank you. There's nothing better than the sound of diesel in the morning. And what better place to get high horsepower diesel than the all-new 2020 Ford F-250, now with 475 horsepower and over 1,000 foot-pound of torque. You know where to get it? From me, the minister, Jonathan Simmons at Allen Vigil Ford Commercial Sales. Because you know why? I'm the commercial truck guy in the shirt and tie. All right, we're back here with the Real Talk Sports Show. Thanking all those of you who are watching us. And we're doing something new this week. We were told that Periscope was going to go away. I think they deceived me, because I'm still seeing people on Periscope. But we switched to Twitter TV, so we're broadcasting on Twitter TV for the first time this week, and we are thankful to be there. And we're also thankful that we were able to call on the man that knows more about your Atlanta Falcons than anybody. He's the embedded sports writer for the AJC Sports. He has been covering the Falcons for a good minute. He also does a great blog, cover on Cover 9, I think it is 9 on 9, and the Bowtie Chronicles. He's also Esquire par excellence and a great motivational speaker. The one and only D. Orlando Ledbetter is in the building. Welcome back, sir.
Welcome, Reverend. Thanks for having me. Good seeing you, Miss Tree, and hello to you, Brother Poole. Great to be on the show again today.
Hi, D-Led.
All right.
Well, good to have you back, kind sir, as always. For those of you who are just tuning in here, we're doing a kind of a, I don't say a recap, but we're taking a good look at the NFL draft. Our good friend D. Orlando Ledbetter said, listen, what better guy to talk to you about the defensive backs in the draft than our own Super Bowl winner? So we're going to pop the names up here again. These are some of the top guys here that are projected in the NFL's 2021 draft. Oh, We got the wrong. There it is. Okay, there we go. Yep. So there we go. We got Patrick Surtain II from Alabama, J.C. Horn from South Carolina, Greg Newsome II from Northwestern, Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech, Asante Samuel Jr., Florida State, Javon Holland from Oregon, Aaron Robinson from UCF, which is Central Florida, and from Raptor Road, Tyson Campbell. Those are some of the guys that the NFL pundits are saying will probably go in the top couple of rounds. So, D-Led, we talked a little bit about kind of how the DNA is working. And I saw a lot of seconds and juniors on there. What do you think about some of those names we saw that are sons of former players?
Yeah, Patrick Surtain is probably the one we have the rated the highest. Then, of course, Joe Horn's son is there. Asante Samuel, it's three good bloodlines, and the NFL teams like that because they know that the sons will be coached by their dads and told them what to expect and how to perform, what the team's looking for, how to go to meetings. There's definitely some benefits to having the father involved in their son's career, which I know is the case in I know for a fact in Horn and Surtain, and I'm sure Shantae's done a good job with his kid too, but I don't know that situation as well as I do the other two. So that's always good in the teams like that.
Yeah, no doubt. We talked about it earlier that that DNA is important. Our own queen was, when she was younger, they tried to recruit her, to produce some offspring that would be, great players as well, but she respectfully declined. So, but yeah, the DNA is very, very important. But it's also about what you were talking about earlier, Tyrone, is that, we can't go by the necessary measurables. It's all really more about what that guy can do in close spaces.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we're talking about the bloodline. So those guys, whether it's Samuel, whether it's Horn, whoever the case may be, Surtain, these guys' IQ, they're already there. That's why I mentioned Peyton Manning. His IQ was already there because his dad, he was around the game all his life. So these guys are no different. But one guy that I am very intrigued is Caleb Farley, Virginia Tech. 6'1", 207. This guy has the speed, he has the quickness. Now he is a project because he played wide receiver. He was a quarterback in high school. And then they got into college. He was a wide receiver. Then they moved him over to defensive back. Now, Caleb's story rivals my story because I was a running back in high school. And when I got to Fort Valley, they switched me over to defensive back. I never backpedaled in my life, but they saw the skills. They saw the lateral movement, the speed. So I think Caleb Farley could be a very good surprise and pickup for someone. I see him kind of like a Patrick Peterson. He's a guy that can play inside because of his quickness, and he's a guy that can play on the outside with his height and size. So I really like Caleb from Virginia Tech.
D-Lad, what do you think about young Mr. Farley from VaTech?
Yeah, Mr. Farley, we were on the call with him about 8 days ago. Very engaging young man. Just concerned that he had a back surgery here recently with a deadlift injury. He got all into it. I got the video on AJC.com where he talks about the L4 and the L5 and all that. But the NFL teams, if they are comfortable with the back surgery and so forth, he certainly's got great tape of him playing cornerback on film. So the one red flag with him now is the back surgery.
Yeah, that is a red flag because the Falcons have had trouble before drafting guys who were injured and then they just never panned out. Tree, what do you think about what D-Led's saying there about Mr. Farley? Would you like to go with him? Or would you want to get somebody that's factory fresh, so to speak?
That's a tough one. I guess it would just depend on the level of the back surgery and how quickly doctors are saying that he should recover and be back to 100%. Back injuries in itself are just very, very dangerous, and very serious injury. So I definitely do agree that that is a huge red flag. But, you know, one thing that doctors do say is that the bones will recover and heal. So it's just a matter of what the doctors are saying his recovery time would be. At that same token, I don't know, I probably will go with someone who is more healthy than someone who just had back surgery.
Tyrone, how about you? I know we've heard your feedback. We see Farley. A lot of scouts had talked about him and really ranked him kind of at the top. And I got to take a quick stop here. For those of you who are listening to us right now, WIGO 1570, we know you have to go. We say as we do each week, when we let you go, God bless you, and have a great day. All right, back to our show here. Yeah, so looking at these guys again, and we'll pop their names up on the screen so you guys can see them one more time. These are the guys we're talking about. Is Farley now no-go for you because of the back injury?
No, for me, no. Again, if you're still being rated as a first-round draft pick, again, just like Tree alluded to, the injury must not be as bad as people are led to believe. Sometimes you can speak of an area and automatically people think it's the worst, but you got to get the inside information. And also, you know, I don't know how stem cell, you know, works in this situation, but, you know, medicine, you can regenerate cartilage in no time. And again, this guy, I'm pretty sure, you know, he is around the best doctors, and still for these scouts who they're putting their job on the line, still says that this guy is the top 1 or 2 corners, along with that injury. And he's a project. Again, he played quarterback, wide receiver, defensive back. So that speaks a lot about his skills, that if he didn't have the back surgery or these like other little things, he could be the number 1 corner, you know. But again, when you look at all the other ones, J.C. Horn, South Carolina, 6'1", we talked about him. Eric Stokes, you know, Georgia, 6'1", 185. You know, he's projected as a first rounder, you know, good speed, 4.29. Again, I don't take too much stock into that because guys can be prepared to run the 40. Really, the 40 is only how fast can you get out for 20 yards. If you can get out for 20 yards, you're going to run a pretty good 40 time. I always tell people, if you want to know the true essence of someone's speed, let them run a 60 meters, 55 meters. That's why they run 55, 60 meters in track and field, because that is the essence of speed. Because even 100 meters doesn't really tell you how fast a guy is, because you can only keep that speed up full speed for about 60 to 70 meters. And then after that, they call it maintenance. It's who can maintain a technique the best. But the 40, I don't put too much stock into it. Plus, I think corners should backpedal like they do this drill. They do it in the combines. I think it's a very great measurable. Make them backpedal 10 yards, and then boom, a snap or a clap of the hands or a go, make them turn, and then sprint. That is actual football movement for a defensive back, not running straight ahead for 40 yards. If you're running straight ahead for 40 yards, that means you don't gave up a long pass.
I was wondering when that was going to come up. I was wondering when someone was going to talk about the fact that, okay, if a DB is running forward for 40 yards, Houston, we have a problem. There's no doubt about that. Well, D-Led, any changes coming from the Falcons camp as far as, you know, we've had a couple of players mention the Falcons talk to me, and I think they like me. Any updates from the camp?
Yeah, you know, this week we talked to the Oregon tackle. We were on his Zoom call on Monday. Penei Sewell, he had his pro day on Friday. He's a little bit shorter than they listed him at Oregon. He was 6'4", not 6'6". You know, he also put on a little weight too during the pandemic. He's up to 331. So 6'4", 331. Good big guard size. I know he played tackle in at Oregon, but the Falcons would need him as a tackle. So he's been the talk of the week. Of course, Kyle Pitts was last week, and we had a big Sunday story on him. But it's been broken down to like, hey, you know, Kyle Pitts is only going to affect 15 plays a game. The tackle, if he's legit, and I haven't heard anybody say he isn't, he's going to play 65 to 70 snaps a game. He's going to make your line better. all of a sudden you got a quality football player on your team. He's a little young at 20, but you know, his best football is going to be, you know, 20 to 23 to 30. So you know, that's been the big talk of the week. And the other things are people telling they're going to trade out or they're open for business. You know, the same stuff. You know, teams leaking it out that, hey, we can go quarterback. Hey, we can go. You know, trade, or you know, they're gonna take the best football player for you. You earn that fourth spot by going 4-12. You're not gonna give it away. So but everybody's doing their smoke screen stuff right now. I fully expect them to make a decision between the tackle and the tight end with that 4th overall pick, because I think Justin Fields is going to be going to San Francisco at 3.
Yeah, so I hope to have the clips available by next week. But I actually got a chance to see young Mr. Sewell when he came here to Atlanta, and he won. I don't think it was an outlet trophy, but anyway, he had won in the college football awards. He was here. I will tell you one thing: he will keep a boring locker room up tempo, because that kid he really was like a little kid. I mean, he was just like a giant, like 15-year-old. I mean, he just loved being there. He seemed like he has a good time, so he might be able to keep the locker room loose. Because like I say, he's a big kid.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tree, what do you think? I know, like you said, you've been kind of on that defensive tip. Have you changed your mind at all?
I mean, yes and no. Defense is always still great. We always need to have a great defense. I really do think that changes games. So if you have a number 1, number 2 defense, I think you'll go far. So you can always improve your defense and get better. At the same token, we also need a lot of pieces on offense. So I agree with D-Led having a good tackle, a tight end. We need an all-around piece. As far as the number 4 draft, best player.
Well, there it is. You got it. The Queen says, hey, if I'm in that 4th slot, I want the best you can get. There's still some rumblings about them trading out. I think it's just if the Falcons didn't have so many different kind of needs, it would make it much easier to do this. But they do have holes in several different positions. And I guess the biggest question is going to be, I would think, is how well they can draft after the 1st round. You know, because in essence, if you think was the team that made the Super Bowl run, it wasn't so much at the top of the draft, but that draft had depth. I mean, they made a great pick at I think Deion Jones was a 2nd-round pick. Grady Jarrett was a 4th-round pick. So they were able to get 3 or 4 starters in the depth of the draft. And to me, to get them back to some semblance of winning, I would think they'd have to do that again. They'd have to get at least a couple of starters out of this draft. What do you think?
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead, DJ. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Tyrone.
No, I was going to say, you know, if I'm the Falcons, you know, I would take and shop that pick around and see who wants to move up and build for the future while still trying to maintain the present. Again, the NFL is what have you done for me lately type of league, but I believe you still can find some great picks, and you hit it right on the head as far as finding 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th round, you know, 6th round picks that are quality. We look back over the history of the NFL. There have been a lot of guys, Terrell Davis, you know, who I know very well, you know, running back for the Bulldogs, Georgia. He was a late round pick, and he's a Hall of Famer. So a 1st rounder is not necessarily guaranteed that they're going to turn your franchise around. So it takes a real keen eye to be able to find talent. And if you got a good organization as in the front office that can find those diamonds in the rough, then yes, give up that 1st rounder and try to find some of them guys later in the rounds that are hungry and are willing to help the team win.
Elad, how about you?
Yeah, they got 9 picks. You're not going anywhere with rookies, really. You know, you know, last year the rookies, you know, Marlon Davidson wasn't able to do much. The Hennessy kid couldn't play. The rookie cornerback was, he held his own, but he wasn't locking anybody down. So, I mean, you're in a bad spot once you're counting on rookies. So, go ahead and trade back, amass picks, and, kind of improve your odds of getting better players for the future. Maybe you want to stack some positions. Maybe you want to draft 3 defensive ends, and maybe you hit the lottery on one of them. Maybe you want to, you can fix the line up high. You can get the running back. If they can't do those 2 things, that's, those should be easy things for a GM. It's like, you can fix the line, you can get a running back. Now, what else can you do? Can you get a pass rusher? Can you get a safety? You should be able to get a safety at some point during the 9 picks. You got 9 picks. So, and then you got to get them ready to play. And you don't know if they got mini camps, if they got OTAs, or you just going to be zooming it up. It's going to be hard for the rookies to get ready. You can't really expect them to come in and help you out. That 1 year, Devondre Campbell in the 4th round, Dion in the 2nd, Keanu in the 1st. They all had to play, but I mean, eventually, that was a roller coaster ride. And you got Grady in the 5th. So, you just don't want to be in that spot where you're counting on rookies to help you out. So we're really talking about down the road and, maybe hitting on some guys, maybe increasing your odds, maybe stacking a couple spots to where you want competition, real competition, so you can, try to get a pass rush.
All right, I'm gonna throw out a proposal right here. You guys tell me what you think. All right, there's on the screen. Falcons trade a 2nd round pick in 2022, or maybe they might have to give them a 2022 and 23 to the Jets for their current quarterback, Sam Darnold, because he's not gonna. If they pick a quarterback, they're not gonna need him. So there's a guy. He's 23 years old. He was a 1st round pick just a couple years ago, and that way you got your quarterback of the future. And you can still build the team.
Well, they just traded him to Carolina.
He's already been traded.
Oh,
yeah, he's going to Carolina now, and
right, hold on a second.
They didn't have to give up a 2nd round either.
Hold on. Minister Jonathan, they say you're a dollar late, you're a dollar short.
Now let me help you out, Reverend. Denver and New England would be the only teams that would trade up, but they've realized now that the quarterbacks they want, Trey Lance and Mac Jones, they're going to be there at 9. They're going to be there at 15. You don't got to mortgage the future to come up to 4. The Falcons missed their boat when San Francisco called. Whatever San Francisco was offering, they should have took that. It looked like they had to offer. They offered Miami a great deal. So the Falcons must not have been comfortable at going back from 4 to 12. So they didn't take that deal. So now they're trying to say they're going to take a deal, but nobody needs to come up to 4 right now. Folks are like, okay, we could just sit at 9. If I'm Denver, I'm not giving you a whole bunch of stuff to go get Mac Jones or Trey Lance because they can't play right now. They're the developmental guys. And Mac Jones is not a top 5 talent. So, everybody's going to kind of sit. We can kind of figure that the Falcons are going to be there at 4 making that pick.
No doubt. I'm still trying to recover from that faux pas. I told myself I would never do this again. This happened to me a couple of years ago. I talked about Villanova advancing, and the captain, Ken Swilling, he said, now, Rev, that Villanova got beat early this afternoon, right? And I made this whole prediction about, oh, man, they're the old Big East. So once again, for those of you who watch this show, the minister has fallen off the ledge again. Amen. Thank you so much. Yeah, but
it was a lot that went down this weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, minister.
Thank you.
I'm gonna make a joke too now. You about like Deshaun Watson and Paul Pierce. You gotta do damage control, man.
Wow.
Much love, Paul Pierce and Deshaun Watson. It's only a joke. Only a joke.
Well, speaking of Deshaun Watson, I mean, he's got a situation. I mean, it's one thing when you say you got 2-3 women maybe you saving, I give you a half a dozen. But man, when that number get in the 20s, something, what's that old saying? Where there's smoke, there's fire, something not right. I'm just saying. And now, Tree, what do you think about now that the number has increased? 'Cause I know you were saying, hey, things happen. What do you think about this situation with Deshaun? You think there's some truth to this nonsense?
I don't know. I think that now that there are actually criminal investigations, that we will find out what actually happened. Even if they're saying, oh, he deleted direct messages on Instagram, but it doesn't matter. Anytime you send anything on Instagram, it's there forever. You can delete a message, it's still there. The police can still find everything. So if he was sending direct messages that were inappropriate to women or that validates what they're saying, then it will be found.
Wow. Well, Tyrone, what you think? There might be a little truth to this, or what you think is just the fact that because he wanted to get out of Houston trying to tune him up a little bit, and well, basically they've done it. I mean, nobody's going to trade for him now. That's out of the question.
Well, I've heard someone say this before, and I think it's so fitting for this situation and anybody who's listening and watching. I heard someone say the greater your talent is, the more love is. If I'm a great athlete and I'm going against someone, or I'm involved in a situation where I know my greatness can crush them, I have to show love in that situation. Okay. Another one is when you are attacked, the more you are attacked, the more peaceful you have to be. Because when you're great and you're being attacked, the first thing is you want to get emotional and strike back. So in situations like that, you got to be peaceful. I don't care what they're saying. As long as it's not true, it shouldn't bother you. But you got to keep your peace while you're under attack. And then the other thing is, the greater you are, the more impactful your words are. So you got to be very careful, in your words that you select, and, going places, doing things. We just, as anybody, got to be careful in what they do. But when you are a person of high stature, the society holds you to a high status. They're just waiting for you to do something, slip up. It's never the person who is driving the car. It's about, they look for the big name. So if a small person, so to speak, in society terms, is driving the car, they're going to look and see who's in the car. Oh, such and such, the bigger name is in the car. They're going to say such and such got pulled over. Not the driver, but such and such, who is the bigger name. So, we live in a society where social media, is so crazy. And I know during my time of playing, I wasn't a saint. I'm just glad social media wasn't around like it is now. But I'm like, if social media was around back in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, I'm like, you would have a whole lot more people strung up and being talked about. So we just got to be mindful of the season that we're in and be very careful in what we do. But yeah, the Deshaun Watson situation is, it's unfortunate. And my thing is, it's not the fact that, it is the fact that what happened, but it's the number of people that they're going to now. It was 21. Now his lawyer is saying they got 18 women who say that he didn't do anything with them. So now that's 39 women. And I heard Shannon Sharp mention this as well. So I'm like, that's the thing that I look at. It's like now it's like, 39 people, so to speak. So, they're going to start trying to label him now. So that's an unfortunate thing. He can overcome the financial, but, sometimes you lose your good name, that thing is hard to get back, and you have to go a long time just to build that trust back up sometimes.
Hey, what the Bible tell you said, man's reputation worth more than silver and gold. Well, for our Esquire, D-Led, what are your thoughts on this situation, sir?
Yeah, it's a tough situation for Deshaun and the victims. Right. We got a fact-finding mission to go on before we, decide to pass judgment. There was an article today in the Houston Chronicle where one of the victims spoke out about the case. So he's a public figure. So yeah, when you're a public figure, you might be in a situation where you are a target. But when you got 49 people and different variations of the story, let's just let this settle. And we've known Deshaun since he was a ball boy with Atlanta, with the Falcons and so forth. So he's been around pro football for a long time. So, but yeah, this is some personal business that has to get handled. And as far as him and his career, of course, I covered the Michael Vick trial. So I covered a couple trials in Ohio with the athletes and situations there. And so, when they are asking for money, when it's a civil trial, that's a little bit different than when there's a criminal trial and you're talking about the burden of proof being beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil case where there's money and you have disagreements, his legal counsel's got to should have been going to him early on and said, hey, let's take care of these legal situations if there have been some civil wrongs done. Okay, now they should have been taken care of, but they weren't, and now they become public. And I know in the old days, we didn't report about civil suits. We only reported about criminal. But, of course, with social media now, times have changed. It's out there. So I know one running back for the Falcons, we were getting suits at the paper 3-4 months a year about child support payments and so forth. We're like, no, that's civil. That's y'all's personal business. We're not writing that. And so, but times have changed now. I think we went to him and said, hey, man, you might need to take care of this because we're getting, if it's coming to us, it's going to TV stations and so forth and so on. So, but the times have changed that people's personal lives are being put on Instagram and, the various social platforms, whereas in times past, you can handle a disagreement with, in a social setting. And so that's kind of where I'm at with this situation. They need to be probably handled a little bit better. The lawyer's grandstanding. He's making a name for himself. He's going to be on TMZ. If he can sleep at night, practicing law that way, that's his call. But as far as I know Billy Martin, my lady who they made the show after Scandal, Miss Judith. When they got into Michael Vick's case, their whole goal was to save his career and to help him. Deshaun needs some people like that working with him. I don't know who's working with him. His agent's not doing a good job. And Billy's a little bit older now. And Miss Judith is Judy Miller. She probably made so much money off of Scandal. She probably doesn't have to be the fixer anymore. But whoever the new fixer is and whoever the Billy Martin is, the kid needs some help. And Coach Dungy did a good job helping Mike out too. So I don't know if it's Coach Tomlin now or Coach Dungy. Somebody's got to get through to the young man and his people to take care of the situation a little bit better than it's been handled thus far.
One thing that was really sad for me to hear was that people had warned him before this even came out that he should not do what he was doing as far as hiring so many different masseuses in different cities everywhere he went. And he did not listen. So that is the one thing that I hope that younger players and other people, you don't even have to be younger, you can be older, it doesn't matter. The whole point is that you do have to pay attention of how things look. They may not always be as what they may look like, but you do not want to put yourself in situations that look bad. That in itself is the reason that he's in this situation outside of if something was done. But it was just unfortunate when I did hear that part because it could have been prevented, but they said he didn't want to listen. They said, what can you tell a young man with money? He's going to do what he wants to do. And I'm sure that now he's wishing that he had have listened to that advice because he probably would not be in this situation.
Mm-hmm. That's well said right there. I mean, like you said, when I heard the number, once the number started climbing, I said, there was a problem I had with that. The other problem I had when they said, and I understand that, it's a different day and that the people were recommended. And I know myself, I appeal to guests to come on the show through Instagram. Cause I didn't have their phone number, I didn't have an email. So I get it. You contact people legit, you're not trying to do nothing crazy, but I mean, massages, I don't know, especially that. I mean, like you said, that many different people. I would think, Tyrone, you would want to have maybe a small group of people because your body. I mean, that's your money. Am I not looking at this right?
No, your body is your business. You know, even if you're living in life, you take care of your body, it'll take care of you. And being athletes, you know, I got massages, I got, you know, chiropractor services. You know, I have a hyperbaric chamber. I'm like, you know, we got to do everything we got to do to keep ourselves healthy. I'm pretty sure, again, Tom Brady, I played with the guy. So, you know, I'm like, you don't play into your 40s without taking care of your body. But, you know, it's all about having the right people. You know, you find a couple of people. Yeah, somebody may not be available at the time you need them. So, yeah, you may have a backup, you know. So, again, you got to take care of your body. Can't fault him for taking care of his body. I just think it's just so many other things like D-Led said earlier. You know, you just got to get all the information. And at the end of the day, we'll find out the truthfulness. You know, just unfortunate the public is in his private business. But again, when you are a high profile person, you know, that's what you're susceptible to. And at the end of the day, you know, the victims, you know, the people who are saying that he took advantage of them, and also, you know, Deshaun Watson, you know, he could also be a victim in this situation. But either way, they all will and hopefully get over this and learn from it.
Well, I tell you, from an old guy, it is good to have people looking out for you. I can remember a few years ago that I was at an event and I had some pictures. I took some pictures with a young lady that was at the event. Beautiful young lady. I get a call from an old friend of mine. She says, "Hey, did you take a good look at this picture?" I was like, She said, "Okay, take a good look at the picture, kind of see where you are, where your hands are, kind of how you guys are standing." And I mean, for me, I didn't realize it, but somebody was looking out for me saying, "Hey, it might be cool for like another guy, but you being an OG and a minister on top of that," he said, some people might look and say, "Ah." So I realized that it's very, very easy for something to be misinterpreted. And that's why I think both D-Led and Tyrone, you said it best. You need to have people looking out for you that can just tell you. And what you say, Tree, people tried to tell him, "Hey, man, this is not really the best way to go about this." And you got to listen to folks. And I can just tell you after that, when I took photos, I was real careful to make sure where all my hand placement was. It wasn't too high, too low, that I was looking at the camera. I didn't have any funny looks on my face, all that stuff, because what seemed to be very innocuous, and even the person I was with, nobody, you know, the person wasn't offended, but like it's just when you're in the public eye, you got to be careful. You know, you think we shouldn't have to think like that, but I mean, it just is, man. The word police, the picture police, everybody out there monitoring what you're doing. And let me check the time. Oh snap! It's 9:28. We gotta go. I can't believe it. Once again, the time has rocketed by. All right, you know how we do this. We want to make sure that people can follow you, find out more about you, blogs, website. So, you know who, Mr. Tyrone Poole, the floor is yours.
Well, I want to thank everybody for an opportunity to watch and listen to the show. And I want to say this too. My son, Tyson Poole, he's a freshman at Walton High School. We talk about all these bloodlines going into the NFL. Well, don't be surprised if you see and hear the name Tyson Poole in years to come. All right. But you want to follow me. You can follow me on all social media platforms, Tyrone Poole 38, and also my foundation, Tyrone Poole 38 foundation.org.
He done put it out. You got to be on the lookout. Another Poole about to hit the field. All right, Tyrone, man, till next week, man. God bless you. Appreciate you for coming on, bro.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
All right. The Esquire, Parks and Lots, the Orlando Ledbetter, the floor is yours.
Yes, Reverend. Thanks for having me. You can follow us on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. We got the Cover 9 at 9 blog dropping tomorrow at 9 a.m. We look at the tackle and we do our mock draft 4.0. Also, we have the Bowtie Chronicles dropping tomorrow morning at 8, episode 256. Thank you for listening and reading our article.
There you go, guys. Right there, you can see it. You follow him on Twitter at DOrlandoAJC, Instagram at DOrlandoLed, and just go to AJC.com, go in the sports section, and you will find our man, D. Orlando Ledbetter. D-Led, till next time. Thank you, sir.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's down to me and the Queen again. Let me go ahead and clear the deck. Miss Tree Dolman, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, sir. You can find me on Instagram at It's Latresa. That's ITSLATRESA. And of
That
course,
makes
I'm
sense.
here
Let me
with Real
pull it
Talk
up. Make
Sports.
sure we can. Let me get that so everybody can see it on the screen. Hold on, madam. Just hold that lovely pose and that smile for us, please. There it is. Da-da-da-da. Follow her right there, guys. You know what to do. There she is right there. Well, guys, again, we always appreciate you for joining us here. I'm going to, first of all, ask you to please follow the show anywhere on social media at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. So Real Talk Sports 7, you can follow us anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, every place. That's it. Also, please, 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 and some of you have done this. I want to say thank you so much. Some of you have begun to follow and subscribe to us on YouTube. We're on YouTube. It's a Real Talk Sports, or let me see if I can get the link for you here so you guys will have it. It is YouTube/Real Talk Sports TV. So please go there, subscribe, and then here's the big thing. Bing, hit that little notification bell, because we'll tell you every time that we have a live show, or sometimes we do a pop-up show, and good Lord willing, as we become more COVID-free, we'll be doing more of those. We're out and about. You'll be able to know. So check us out right there. All right, guys, before I go, I got to put the ministerial hat on real quick. Look, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ, your personal Savior, please, man, please, sir, get to know him today. We just celebrated Easter weekend. Don't you know what that's about? It's about him giving his life for you. And what does that mean? That means he came here upon the earth, became a man just like you and I, a human being, I should say, fully God. And here's what he did. He took all of mankind's sins, went to the cross, died, and when he rose from the dead, bam! That means that every human being on the earth has the right to believe in him and become two things: a real child of God and a citizen of heaven, and you have all the rights therein. So I don't know about you. This is your opportunity, man, to get to know God up close and personal. And in fact, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven and a child of God. And you get to go to a happy place when you die, called heaven, and not the bad place called hell. I don't know about you, but I like option number 1 better than option number 2. All right, until the next time, God bless you and have a good night. So long.